Welcome, everybody, and thank you for joining us for another episode of Weird Growth, the podcast where we deep dive into founder stories and the strange and unpredictable growth stories of startup founders. Today, we're really privileged to have Jesse Emia join us from Keepspace. Jesse, thanks so much for joining us today.
No worries, mate. It's good to be here.
Appreciate your time. And how would you introduce yourself, getting straight into it?
Country kid done good in the city in logistics and fulfillment. It's probably that would be it.
Country kid done good, and did some time in the army too, right?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, very cool.
That was 2003, 04.
Amazing.
Gone a little wider since then.
Yeah.
So, yeah, man.
So Keepspace, tell us a little bit about that. And you're pretty busy at the moment.
So Keepspace is a e-commerce fulfillment service. Mainly what it does is people who have an online store, website mostly, they will bring their products to our warehouse here in Perth, West Australia, and they will do an integration from their online store to our system that we've built. And when their orders are generated from their online sites, they will be received into our system, and then we will dispatch those orders across the world.
So at its core, you're just helping e-commerce store owners do their fulfillment.
Effectively, that's the core of the business at this moment.
No, amazing. And so what makes you guys special? That there's a lot of providers there. Well, 3PL, is that sort of the general kind of space you're playing in?
We fell into 3PL as a whole. There is some players that are extremely large, but those large players have high minimum requirements. So, for example, if you want to play in this space, usually you got to be doing 200 orders or more just to have a conversation. And so we thought, that's a little brutal. Why don't we drop that down to 10 and grab them while they're young, build up with them, and have that growth and that journey built up, and hopefully a bit of appreciation and loyalty that comes with it.
Yep.
And then when they start hitting past 200, they're actually at a stage where you don't fix something that's not broken, so you just keep going.
Yeah, love it. So, what sort of customers do you have? And is this sort of people who've read the 4-Hour Workweek and they're doing like their Muse product and all that kind of stuff, or is it a little bit different to that?
I'll be straight. Like, dudes who are doing 4-Hour Workweek, we don't hear about them very much.
Yeah.
We're more about the Elon guys who are hustling it day in, day out, getting their product development done, doing their marketing, and they just don't have enough time. And so they want to pull back some of that time and pass it off to someone else.
Yep.
And that's the type of people we're looking for, people who are literally building their business, because the passive ones, we've worked with a couple, they don't generate that much.
Yeah. They're literally passive because they're not even doing the hustle. Yeah,
it's not really strong enough for their volume. And you see it on their month on month, that it's just at a level that we find that the relationship just starts to deteriorate. They'll say, oh, I got a really cool product. I'm going to sell soap. I get it from Thailand. I bring it in. I get a little bit of product set up. All right, I'm cool. I'm going to go chill on a beach.
Yep.
Product dies.
Yep.
Don't focus on marketing. Oh, what happened there? Oh, it was something I tried. It didn't really work.
I'm surprised. Yeah. So who are the clients that you are enjoying, that you are getting really good success with, and what sort of stuff are they selling?
I'll tell you more category ranges than actual specific businesses.
No, that's good. Yeah, no, fine.
So people who we're really helping is some that are in the fashion space, some that are in the fitness and equipment that are doing really, really well.
Due to COVID-19, people exercising from home and things, is that really kicked off? Yeah.
They are. There is one company that I will share some love to, which is called Black Roll. And they were pretty much the very first business we started working with. And they have a type of roller which works on your fascia. Now, don't tell me what that is exactly. All I know is it's a certain type of muscle in your body that they that they sell you on.
Yeah.
And you get these rollers and you do fitness exercises with them.
Yeah, right.
And it works really well. They got the Surf Lifesavers. They got the rugby boys, Western Force using them. They got the Socceroos here in Perth using them. They got some big name on the East Coast, which I forgot.
So how big is this thing? It's
just a roller.
And so what do you use it to do exercises and stuff?
Just put your arm on it. And like you put your legs and your thighs on it. And then you got little mini rollers where you put your ankle and the bottom of your toes and stuff. And
so why is it working for them? And why have they sort of broken through that barrier and are actually doing some volume?
Well, I'll make sure he comes on the podcast.
Yeah, I have to ask him.
Yeah,
no, that's cool.
Probably, to be honest with you, we see the volume capacity grow from their activities, but we don't know the actual activities they did to make the growth.
Sure.
So we just see, and the only thing we can predict is that, like you said, COVID-19 kicked in. People can't go to the gym.
Yep.
They're most likely seeing their product as an option to buy. They buy it. They're happy with it. They get more. No.
So we've seen this sort of explosion in e-commerce activity over the past month or so, and you said before it was kind of like Christmas in April. How likely do you think it is to sort of be sustained? Do you think this is actually going to be a world-changing event where we do more e-commerce on an ongoing basis, or is it going to go back to normal, or are we going to see a flattening out as it just becomes a little bit more regular?
There's two ways that there's two conversations that have been going around. The first conversation is to share the initial part of that, because of the retail being a very core channel of daily Australian life, going down to the shops, buying something from over the counter and taking it home, that channel being shut off to a lot of people, the online channel had been their other alternative. And because of that alternative becoming open and sort of pushing people to go in that direction, obviously there's been an increase, and all the online sellers have been very happy from the increase of that. From that arrangement, the two conversations that have left from that event is, one, they believe that it will stay and maybe decline maybe 20% of the existing arrangement. Because,
but still a higher level than what it was before.
Yes, because post-COVID will be saying, I did buy something online for the first time in my life.
So it's broken the ice. I've had a good experience.
Yes, it's been pretty good.
Yeah,
and I'll go for it. The other way is that, no, as soon as the retails open up, they will go back to normal. And the normal approach is because for the carriers, Australia Post, TNT, FedEx, not FedEx.
Toll.
Yes, definitely Toll. All these carriers, when it was November last year, it was around preparation for Christmas. So they all hired more people. They prepared for 2 shifts. They were prepared for Christmas rush. And as they did take on that extra staff, they were like, okay, cool. These guys are going to be on for contract until mid-January. Then they're all going to get nicked off.
Yep.
Because they're not going to need them around. So that's prepared them. They did really well, and Australia Post did good. Then they got all fired. February came around. COVID kicked in real heavy, shut down the economy. Then Australia Post went down from 2 shifts down to 1. Toll's system was pretty shocking at the time. And it crashed multiple times. And the experience for a lot of people who had purchased, and I'm pretty sure you guys listening to this right now, you'd probably be like, I bought something online and bitch didn't arrive for like 2 weeks. I was pissed. Nah, where's my parcel?
It was shocking. I ordered some airbags from Australia Post and they didn't arrive for 4 weeks from Australia Post.
So because of that process, they were caught off guard. It overwhelmed the system for carriers. Even though they made a bucket ton of money, they were not prepared to give a quality experience as they would normally in that quarter. And so because of that, the expectation is that I have experience online purchasing. It was not fun. I will go back to retail. And so there's 2 ways we'll go. We either stay at Post because it was quite convenient and some experiences were good, expecting a 20% decline, and others will see it just back to flat as what it was before.
Yeah, fascinating. So Keepspace, that's been running since about 2016. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
So what was the starting point? Where did you get the idea to build this thing?
Dude, I ripped it straight out of Shark Tank and Dragon's Den from the Canadian site. Yeah, I was watching YouTube because I just ran a business prior to that one in the retail space selling wedding dresses from China. Yeah. Because I got married and I was like, yeah, let's do it. Like I spent 20 grand on this thing. I'll make money doing this. And then took up a retail outlet.
It was your wife's wedding dress, I assume. Or were you?
Other people's wedding dresses were starting to push off.
Okay.
I didn't realize that the arrangement of selling products was super lucrative but extremely capital intensive. So we decided to look at things in the original, before Keepspace there was a pivot that happened before it. And to get the inspiration, it was from a Dragon's Den Canadian show where a company called Frogbox was pushing out a service actually, where if you wanted to move house, you would, instead of using cardboard boxes to move house, you'd use these green, eco-friendly boxes where 1% went to frogs, and you would then be able to move house very effectively.
Why do the frogs need boxes?
It was a brand thing. So I was like, okay, cool. I like that idea. I can get a bunch of stuff. So I get a container load, bring it into a country. And I'm like, koala box, because 1% goes to koalas. Yay. And it works really well. And all these people bought it, and then the service went well. Ran that business for 4 years. So that was brutal. First financial year, made $18. Second financial year, 20 grand. Third was just over 31. And the fourth was 45 and a half. So 4 years of less than 50 grand per year.
Wow.
It was
a slog.
A literal painful experience.
Yeah.
Learned so much about building your own website, learning how to do the sales channel, all the things that you usually pick up in the first 2 years.
Yep.
Just took me a little longer. But then recognizing the lack of revenue, had to look at a pivot, had all these boxes, didn't know what I was going to do, went to the market and see what can I do to re-innovate this product, which is a green box, and use it for this country. And so I looked online and I saw another company in the US called Makespace. And Makespace, they were using the almost exact same green box, but they were using it for storage. It was micro storage solution.
Right.
For you put your shirts in it, your clothes in it, your toys in it, your books. You'd take a photo from the top, it'd get closed up, and then that bad boy would get stored. So instead of you getting a self-storage unit, boxes come to you, you fill it with your junk, and then it would take a documented photo and get stored away. And we started to get into that space. That we set up on a company called Makespace was the name.
Yep.
And
so who are your customers for this thing?
They were university students during student breaks.
Okay.
Homeowners who were renovating.
Yep.
And small businesses with some product that they had stored away that was extra.
Right.
So that were the three verticals we were looking at.
Yep.
Then we looked at the life cycle of these bad boys. The first one, students, they were 3 months. November, December, January, back at school.
Well, they're away,
Yeah, Feb. Homeowners, 6 months, because renovations usually took about 6 months, or selling the property took about 6 months.
Okay.
So then they had their stuff taken out and put it back in. But then the businesses, they just kept their stuff with us.
Yep.
And they just kept going.
Yep.
And just took a little bit at a time. We thought, oh, okay. And so
they were just taking it out of stock when they were selling it.
that's right.
Uh-huh.
And then they were like needing to get shipping sorted. And we're like, let's chase these guys. And so we dropped the students, we dropped the homeowners, and we just chased the businesses. And then we didn't realize about this world of third-party logistics, or 3PL as they call it for short.
Yep.
And we just saw that this is a space that we could probably work really well with. And so we reused the boxes for storage on the shelves, holding products that they were selling. And then we changed the name to Keepspace in 2016 and had to redevelop the site. So instead of it being a category storage, but more of a shipping fulfillment and putting in inventory management and all that. And that was probably the biggest change. And then
the thing I love about that is you really were understanding how your customers were using Koala Box, and you were getting that insight. It might have taken you 4 years or whatever it was.
Yeah, it takes a while.
But by noticing that little action that your customers were taking, or taking little things out of the businesses, taking little bits of stock out for shipping, and having that communication channel where you're able to ask them, hey, what's going on? And can you help us with logistics? Like, that is a nugget of gold, right? That's so cool that you're able to do that. And only customer-centric businesses are able to do that, aren't they?
I'd like to think so, yeah.
Well done.
Thanks,
that's
man.
cool.
It's all them.
Yeah. And so you had this little sort of revelation, and you started pivoting, as you said, building a new business called Keepspace. What was how did it feel in the moment when you were sort of saying no to the homeowners, no to the unis, we're going to take a punt on building it out for the business owners only?
I'm glad you actually pointed out, because I was going to something to add to that.
Yeah.
Because I was like, oh, actually, this is a really good point.
Yeah.
Because I was telling you before, like 45 for Koala Box was the annual. So that means we're making maybe $4,000
Not much.
Yeah, not much.
Yep.
$4,000 to $5,000 in a month.
Yep.
Which sucked.
Yep.
And so with Keepspace's changes and then shipping stuff out using Australia Post as our first carrier before My Post Business was around, we saw that we did $4,000 in a week. Huh. And we were like, whoa, this is cool. We're like making the same amount we would make in a month.
Yeah, 4 times the revenue.
Box, and we're doing a Keepspace, and I say bye-bye.
So
that was it.
Yeah, it didn't feel like a big risk at all. And
no,
I guess you had that validation straight up.
Yes, that's right. Money talked.
Wonderful. Very nice. That's cool. Yeah, I mean, like my first sort of foray in my uni days into business really was an e-commerce store on eBay, and we were bringing in knockoffs of skins. You know, the tight like workout gear.
Yes.
We were bringing in our own brand of that from Pakistan, and then selling them for, $20 a pop when it cost $100 a pop to buy the same pair. Just different brand from Skins, and the thing that made that business really enjoyable was the tangibility of having stock on shelves, seeing orders come in each day, physically putting them into envelopes, putting stamps on the envelopes and posting them out. It just felt like you were doing business, It felt like things were happening. Yes. And it's just such a gratifying thing. And like you get to do that every day with your clients. You get to do that part of it for their for their part of their business. That's cool.
It's a relationship then that gets established even deeper because you depend on them for them to generate orders, and then they depend on you to do a really good job to make sure you're shipping those orders out accurately and as fast or as economical as possible.
It's pretty mission critical stuff.
Yeah,
it takes a lot of trust.
It does. It really does, because you're having each business, like there's a level of trust that needs to be built before anything's established. So we would start a conversation with someone. It will take 3 months usually before they're like, okay, here's my stuff, go.
Yeah.
Because it's like, all right, am I going to give you my stuff and is my business going to die the next day?
Like handing Jesse the keys to my kingdom.
Yeah, like I'm about to give you $30,000 worth of products.
Yep.
You better do good, boys. Like,
yeah.
So but then you build that relationship and then it just solidifies their trust and opens up their eyes to other markets they finally get to tackle, and you get to really take it a lot of them had started looking at multi-site arrangement, which is they'll make a website for Australia. Mm-hmm. They'll target that demographic for who they are trying to hit for. Then they'll make a website for New Zealand to give that local impact. Then they'll make one for the US, Canada, and they wouldn't have done it before because they didn't have the time.
Yeah, so big overhead. Taking a step back,
sure.
And we were talking about trust, which is really important, but one of the tricky things about business to business sales is, and trying to mix that with digital marketing, is you can't really emulate that relationship. It's kind of hard to show that you can be trustworthy just by using digital marketing, right? You need to just make people aware that you exist, and then you need to earn that trust and build that relationship over time.
Yes.
So for your customers who are e-commerce store owners, firstly, how do they first discover that you exist? And then what's the first step towards building that trust that you have with them? So how do they first discover that you exist?
Usually and I got to give a shout out to Simon. He's helping us with our marketing a lot. He does a really good job. And so is William as well. They are both helping just really push out organic content.
Okay. So what do you mean by that?
Organic content around posts of orders that were produced, or something around how to do a better fulfillment arrangement, or something around a better software arrangement that you could use for your systems.
Okay.
And
so things which are helpful.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because we find that if we're able to, I'll come back to the question. I'll just
sure. No.
If you're able to give a lot of value, then obviously they're going to hear that you're not a scammy sales guy.
Yep.
And they're going to think, all right, this guy's got some decent cues. Let's hear some more. You
show that you know what you're talking about. You're thoughtful in this space. Yeah.
And so in that approach, that is usually the starter. Then they'll find a link due to one of our fun points of where we'll drop in a link of Keepspace, which then they'll follow usually back to the site.
Yep.
And then we figured, what is the most important things when they come to this type of service site? Well, I want to know what the price is.
Yeah.
And I want to know what service you can do.
Yep.
And so we looked at all our other service providers that are in the same space. You like go to price and okay, I have to put in a quote. I have to fill in these forms and all these fields, and then they'll get back to me in 4 days. And I'm like, ugh. I'm an online store. I need my stuff now. I'm now guy.
Yep.
So tell me now.
Yep.
So we're like, here's the prices. Go for it. Here's a calculator. Channel your prices and see if it works. And that seems to be like, oh, wow, you guys actually put your numbers on the page. It's like, I can see what you do. You're a little bit more transparent than the other guy.
Okay.
And then usually from a business owner, they're like, hey, what if my competitors see my prices? That means I'm going to get kicked out of the business. It's not going to be good. But we're like, nah, man, be open and transparent, because that should be the culture. The culture is you are a steward of other people's goods. You need to tell them how much stock they have, where it's gone, how fast it took, and then if that's pretty much what you're doing on the inside, on the outside, you should at least be able to just tell them how much the price is.
Right. That's a pretty big signal. Yeah.
So that's usually where they're like, okay, I might give these guys a call. Soon as the call's down, then we've pretty much got a solid position where we're like, okay, we're in a conversation with these guys. They've obviously seen enough around that there's enough trust established to start a conversation. And in that conversation, it's not like, oh, how much is your prices, or what is it like to use you, or something like that, because they already see that.
They already know the price. Yeah.
They already know that. Yeah. So they're like, okay,
interesting.
So I'm really got my site almost, it's finished. We're doing about 100 orders, and I think I'd like to go ahead with you guys. I just need to know some more finer details.
Yep.
And so we're going straight to quality.
Yeah,
that's
nice.
really cool.
Yeah, I mean, because there's two schools of thought, and it depends on the product and the service, and whether you're B2B or B2C or whatever, right? But sometimes starting the relationship with a discussion about price might mean that you are just competing on price. Like if that's the first thing that you talk about, well, then that's the first thing that the customer is going to think about. But it's really interesting you take that angle, that's the way that you build trust. So the conversation has already been happened in their head about price. Now the conversation is about quality or what the the back end's like or whatever. That's really cool.
That's right.
So you don't ever get any conversations from potential customers trying to squeeze you on price, or is it because you feel like you're kind of like a SaaS product that's fixed, or does that happen?
In the beginning, in the first couple of years, we were like, oh, look, okay, we're going to charge this much for picking your products, and then we're going to charge this much to put it into the packaging, and then we're going to charge a little bit for the shipping. And then there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
All these add-ons.
Yeah. And to them, I was like, oh, it's too much. It's too much. Just bring it down for me so I can just keep control of my numbers. And so we're like, okay, or it was like, oh, you charge me this much to pay for the satchel. That's 25 cents. I can buy it down the road from this Uncle Joe's for 5 cents.
Right.
Can you use my packaging?
Yeah.
And then you won't have to charge it. And then it was like, oh my God. Okay, so then there's this guy's packaging, then there's this guy's gear, and then that one wants to prep this in a certain way, and it's unscalable.
Yep.
And so we had to say, you're welcome to bring your prices in. I mean, your material in. It's going to cost the same anyway.
Nice.
Do you want to do it?
There's no incentive anymore.
Nah, use your stuff. That's fine. So that was really helpful.
So really, you have positioned this like a SaaS product. I mean, if I want to go get Xero to run the accounting software for my business, I'm not going to go and say, oh, I don't need this little feature, or I don't need that. Can you make it cheaper? No, that's the product. You take it or leave it. But what that does is, although it's a one size fits all, it also simplifies things for you, but it simplifies the decision making process for the customer too.
Yes, it does.
Yeah, love it. So going back to your content marketing strategy, so you're saying that you're creating useful tips or bits of content to help these e-commerce shop owners make their lives easier. Is that the only thing that you do at a top of the funnel? Like how do people become aware that Keepspace exists?
When we started doing our Google advertising and was trying to be
frugal, like search ads or something like that.
Yeah, just try to be frugal, because we didn't have a luxurious budget of $5,000 a month. We had $500 for the year. And so we were like, how can we stretch this bad boy?
Nice.
And what we found is that when we were doing the advertising for Australia, we're locally demographically found. Let me say that again. We're localized here in Perth.
Yes.
So even though we would get the attention of people in Sydney and Melbourne and Brisbane, when you're shipping something and their products on the east side of the country to send it to Perth, just to send it back again, is cost ineffective. So we would get heaps of leads on the East Coast. And then first thing was that means we got to go to the East Coast. We need to start. But we couldn't because we didn't have enough money to go there. So we had to get the guys here in Perth or internationals who will bring their stuff to Perth for Australia.
Yep.
So what we found is that even though Google would do a great job at sending leads to us, the lead quality was substandard based on the budget that we had. So we had to think outside the box and try and find a way to find more of these quality people who are just in the hustle every day and wanting to get this service in some way that connects to this community. And it was more or less just going to Amazon meetup groups, WooCommerce meetup groups, Shopify meetup groups,
communities,
cards and handshakes and beers and all that stuff. That was the approach because it was a localized impact. These guys were wanting to learn more about their space, and being those relationships was there. But then in there, you're meeting other digital ad agencies, you're meeting other people that are kind of trying to do the same thing. It felt a little bit scammy. So we wanted to not be in the same mode. And we also recognized that the businesses we had put together, they always say the same thing, I want to learn this stuff, but I don't want to program of $5,000 after I've learned it a little bit. So I'm okay, how can we do this? Let's just put on a party for these guys and just put on an event and just call it the e-commerce experience where they can just get together, have a beer, and just talk about their fun times and their failures and just go home happy at the end.
Hey, man, this sounds like a party. This sounds like my kind of marketing.
Yeah. It was very much like that. And so we just called it the e-commerce experience, and we've done 4 of them now, and usually rounds up around 60 people that come in, and they just tell stories. They tell stories about what they did with their products and what they did to get it overseas and all this stuff. And then there's a Q&A.
Love it.
And then all these other people that want to know about it, they're like, oh, these guys are really cool.
Yep.
Oh, I didn't. And they're not selling anything. They're just sharing e-commerce journeys. And it was really exciting. And so then they're like, oh, I want in on this.
So
and
you're into brand building here, really. This is not just lead generation anymore, is it? This is bigger than that.
So the last one we did was called Going Global. The one before that was just before Christmas. It's don't fuck up Christmas. The one before that was your new financial year. And then the one before that was the very first one. Which, yeah. So that was really, it's fun.
Well done. That's cool. I would call that, if we're talking pirate metrics with the funnel, right? So, awareness, activation, retention. I'd say that's almost in that retention sort of phase in the middle of the funnel. These are people who already know about what you do. They're already engaged in your community. They might not be quite customers yet, but they're in your sort of sphere of influence. So that's a really nice way to take people through to that stage where they're actually considering working with you.
It's a lot of work.
Cool. I bet. Yeah.
It's putting on an event is not easy, but because if your core business is something else, and then it's almost like a second business.
Yeah.
But
I don't know. When I get Jack to organise an event, it's pretty easy. We have an annual party for Ammo too, but
nice.
It's a little bit less, it's just for the sake of getting everyone together and having a beer.
Yeah.
But it's really worthwhile. Especially in this business to business space, talking about trust and relationships, nothing beats that face-to-face interaction and, being in a room full of people with a beer. So you're still doing content stuff at the top end of the funnel. Is there anything else that social media or paid advertising, Google search, anything that you're still doing up there, or is it really just doubling down on what's working for you?
It's because we're actually trying a new strategy right now with putting in a bit more money into Google advertising. We're going to give it a second attempt. So we're going to go $1,000 a month, see how that goes for 3 months.
Great.
If that hopefully generates leads in that space, that's great. If not, we'll continue to work on an organic approach and try and localize it still. There is the occasional YouTube videos, but it's mostly YouTube videos of snippets of podcasts that we have pushed out or the events snippets that we have, just nuggets from the events, from the speakers.
Yep.
So it's more around that. And then there's the occasional Gundam style in the warehouse kind of stuff.
That's definitely not top of the funnel stuff.
No,
that's funny.
Just play stuff.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I think you're really fortunate that you have got a very defined market, of potential customers. You're very clear on who it is that you can and can't help. That's half the battle won already when it comes to marketing. So
yes, it is.
That helps a lot. Yeah. So what is it that you would say is the sort of key to your success and to customers sticking around, that retention phase? Like, what is it that people love working with you for?
I can't take credit to this, but it's my wife.
Really?
She is the backbone of this. Her name is Vin, and she does not get enough credit for what she does.
Gee, someone's earning some brownie points here.
I'm being legit, man. I may be the front end, be talking to you right now, but she's the one that'll get up early in the morning, check all the orders that come through the system, make sure that the SKUs are accurate. Because what some businesses do, but they just forget. They'll I got this amazing product. I'm gonna put it on my website, and then I'm gonna push it out, and I'm gonna make sales. Oh, I made 5 sales last night. Woo! But they didn't put the product on our system, so we're not aware of it. So the order doesn't come through to us.
Wow.
And they're like, oh, yeah, we were supposed to do that. Yeah, I forgot about that part. I was about to do it tomorrow. And she'll send off the customer support request to say, oh, by the way, we did notice this SKU was missing from these orders. Is this a new product that you're planning to bring? Oh, and then they'll write back, oh, yeah, sorry, Finn, it was, I'm making an inbound order to your system now. It'll be arriving tomorrow. And then we'll fulfill those orders. And she's like, and that's kind of like...
It's just that attention to detail.
Yeah.
And that real customer focus.
You've got to be super attention to detail.
Yeah.
And so we've been focusing on that part and being super anal. And it's working because, let's be honest, marketers are pretty broad stroked, but you need a laser to get the make sure you keep the finances in the bank.
Absolutely. Well, that sounds like you're a great team, you and your wife.
Her and her team, because she now runs the others, and she's...
So she does the ops, and you do the fun stuff sitting in podcast studios and having a chin wag.
Yeah. I love you, honey.
Oh, well, it's very nice. It's very gracious of you to acknowledge that. That's good.
So good.
Yeah, cool. So, and what's the future hold?
Well, you were talking about a SaaS product a little while ago.
And the reason I brought that up is because it does feel like your business is a SaaS product. When you're on the website, the journey that you go on, it doesn't feel like you guys are just providing a warehouse service. It's more than that. So.
I would bring in a little. It's not really a secret. We do kind of tell everybody. We are building a SaaS product for this, and it's getting the attention of some people for this. What we realized that other warehouses that are in this space, most of the age is 45 plus. These guys have been around for a while. Breweries, agriculture, fisheries, really large retail.
Yep.
So when they got their software systems, we're talking old school Windows, or Excel spreadsheets. That's really old stuff. And the SaaS community, the developers of the world, have seen the opportunity in the space, and they're like, sweet, let's update that software, sell it to those old school dudes. They'll buy it on a subscription. Done. That's a business model. Raise $3 million. Let's go. And so they do that. Then they forget about the actual person that they're serving, because the old guy who's running the warehouse, who has all the assets and all the stuff, and I just want a software system that manages my inventory better and just make that easier, more user-friendly. Developers get paid to look after them. They are not paid to look after the e-commerce seller who wants the system to be better, have better integration to that inventory system, and make that all work really nicely. So we're seeing that as legitimately the next channel.
Yep.
So we're trying to build our warehouse inventory system to be super friendly, have a bit of Zapier thrown into it.
Yep.
And a bit of love from a couple other softwares that we're stealing from, taking inspiration from. And we're going to combine this all together, utilize this within our own system, and then pass this off as a service so that people who, as a software, who want to use this at their warehouse, they can. Because this is where I genuinely think is going to be the next it's not the next boom, but it's like the next stage in these businesses, right? Like when you were selling your eBay gear from home, it was pretty easy. You probably had like, 5 or 6 boxes at home, and they were just all in there, and you just like pulled them out of the bins and then sent them off. If you start getting like serious and legit and you start putting 10 grand on that bad boy and you're like, okay, cool, I'm going to get a second room. I'm going to store this all properly and I want to make sure I keep how much I got. That's those guys. When they do that, the software they'll use is either Shopify's inventory management system or they'll use WooCommerce, which is not really that good because it doesn't really allocate what's where.
Yeah, poor old WooCommerce is doing the best it can on WordPress, isn't it?
I love those guys, but they're falling behind.
Yeah, so Shopify is still the dominant kind of platform for most early stage e-commerce by the looks,
But they do fail when it comes to saying, like, say you hire Jack within your eBay store. Say, Jack, I need you to pull these orders out, grab this through. The only way you can do it is transfer the knowledge you have and tell him and follow you and process that.
Yeah, Jack would be hiring me for his e-commerce store selling cool sunnies or something, whatever you do online. Ammo hats. Shoes,
Shoes. So the arrangement is that, I'll get to the point now. We want to build our system so that it's super functional for a seller to use. Then when they're ready to go to their next stage, for example, the seller uses our software in the States or in the UK or over on the East Coast. And now they're like, okay, I want to have more efficient shipping in another location. What do I got to do that? All right, I got to get a lease. I got to get staff. I got to put stock in that location. Okay, what am I looking at here? I'm looking at maybe $60,000, $100,000 to really get this bad boy going.
Yeah,
That's big overhead. Or they're looking at their software and they can see within their software there's another location, very similar to like ShipBob or ShipWire, and say, okay, I'm already using the system and it's already telling me there's another location here. I can just drop stuff there and dispatch from there, and the whole thing get taken care of. Let's go.
Yeah,
and that's what we're doing.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, I think what you do is a little bit counterintuitive for a lot of the small-time e-commerce sellers because they feel like, I've created this business for myself. I need to keep costs low. I'm doing the packing and shipping and stuff for myself. I can go down to the letterbox each day. But really what you do is you're freeing them up to focus on growth.
Yes.
You're giving them time during the day so that they can, as you were saying before, build a store for New Zealand or focus on a new marketing strategy. And then the fulfillment stuff is really just a mechanical process, which you guys do so well and have down to a fine art. Let the experts do that part and then let the sellers do more selling and grow their business that way. And I think it's the smart ones that are going to take up your product. It's the small time guys who are always going to be small time who will continue doing the packing and shipping out of their bedroom.
Something that you did raise when you were saying that is that it is also a journey. Like when you buy that first product and you have it at your house or you've got it in your garage, you want to control all the elements first.
Yeah. You've got that tangible, you're doing business.
You want to do that.
Yeah.
But after you do it for a year, you don't want to do that anymore.
Right.
And you just want to go to the next level.
Yeah.
And that's usually when they're at that point.
And if you've done it for a year, you've shown that you've got a product and a customer base that wants what you're doing.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah. Cool.
You got it right.
No, it's exciting, man, what you're doing. So good on you for doing that. And you're enabling commerce, and you're helping people grow. It's really cool. And that's what I love about what we do as well. So it's working with those entrepreneurs. So good on you. Well, mate, we're coming to that time where is there any question that you wish I'd asked you today, by the way? Doesn't matter if you don't.
No, I think you got it all right.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
One piece of advice.
Yeah. What's the one piece of advice that you would give to someone starting out?
Stay humble.
Yeah.
Be super overproductive and just be conservative in your approach. Like if you stay humble, you don't go for the glamour, just work your ass off. And then just realize that as hard as you work, you think you're going to have 200% growth. If you get 20, just take it and go on. Just keep moving and don't stop. I can't express that enough.
Some progress is better than crazy progress or no progress, I guess.
Yeah, just keep going. Yeah. And I know it's a tried and trusted advice piece, but I don't there are so many strategies, there's so many gadgets, there's so many things, but really what it comes down to is the person's motivation to just keep going.
Yep.
And so that if I was trying to talk to someone who's listening to this podcast right now and you're like working in your business and you feel like no one knows about you or no one cares what you're doing, just keep going, man. Just keep going.
You obviously have been there, done that. After how many years? Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
No, it's great advice. It's great advice. And I think you're right. Like that incremental improvement, it builds and grows like interest, right? You know, 20% this year, 20% next year. Before you know it, you are so far from where you started, and you've grown, you've learned over that time that, you know, it's spot on. It's not. No one has an overnight success. So,
No,
yeah,
not at all.
no worries. Thank you, mate. And so before we wrap up, a little bit of show and tell. Do you have a gadget, a tool, something that you use in your life or in work or in the business that you love that you couldn't do without? It doesn't matter what it is.
Oh.
Doesn't matter how corny.
If you wanted to know, like I was talking before this podcast started, we were asking me this, and I was like telling him, I'm very much a minimalist. My wife and I have just, because we work with so much product, we just like, there's so much crap going around the world.
Yeah.
We don't need all this stuff. We just live a minimalist life. But if you were asking in regards to productivity activities, that tools that we use, the main ones that come up is Asana for project management. Asana, Slack for communication with the team.
Yep.
And Airmail for Mac. That's our email arrangement.
Yep.
Those 3 core elements were really helpful for us to go through. I will give this one piece. It's not something like, oh, this is something you buy from Apple.
Yeah.
It's like when we were trying to figure out finance management, right? Because there was a strategy that we were looking at, and we're like, do we want to enter into this model and be doing a 30-day payment structure? That sucks when you need cash flow.
When you're chasing payments from people, invoices for last month.
Really, really crap.
Yeah.
Really crap. So can we swear on this or not?
Yeah, it's our podcast. You can say whatever you like. That's
okay,
fine.
cool.
Yeah.
Fucking awesome.
You've already dropped the F-bomb once, so I don't think that.
You didn't realize. Sorry. You can edit that out. When we were trying to chase money from people in the previous businesses, they would go 60 and 90 days late. And it's a terrible
stressful
space. Yeah, it really sucks.
Yeah, you've already paid your wages and your rent and everything else. Yeah.
You need money coming in because otherwise the business will die. So we took on the localized business PIN payments to try to work through managing finances on our users.
PIN payments, so cool. Yeah.
Very, very cool. So that system would allow us to keep their credit cards on file within a legal way, where we wouldn't own anything but a token. And through that, we did our invoices and charged them the following day, 24 hours after the invoice was released. Took payment. That personal tool right there was probably something that made a massive difference for the business, because we're not like, please pray that they will pay.
Yeah.
But they would know that it's going to come out of their bank account, just have the funds available, and then go.
Mate,
and
you're a SaaS product. So why shouldn't it be pay up front for the following month? Of course. Yeah, that's great. So are you doing that at the end of month or the previous, at the start of the month before they start using your service?
So some of these guys will rack up pretty substantial bills, like up to $7,000 in a week.
Okay. Because it's not just a fixed fee. It's, right.
Because they were like, we'll do the operations, but then the shippers will want to get paid. And so because the shippers are like, I want money now, bro. Like, you need to have deep pockets. If you ain't got deep pockets, you're trying to be in the space. We needed to get the cash from the sellers straight away.
There's a bit of a money go around that goes on.
It goes, it's a real quick cycle every week. So we would pay for everything from Monday through to Friday. Then the following Monday comes along, we'd invoice them and take their payments on Tuesday and pay what we did and get resupply back in.
Love it.
And that is an amazing tool. If you're in a space where your cash flow required, I can't express how important that was for us. So if you're a business that needs money, or you need, if people come to you and say, I need you to have a capital of 30 or 40 grand so that you can run this business because you got to buy product to bring stuff in or rest of it. PIN payments is something we use to really make this whole thing work.
Beautiful.
Besides the average ones.
And a good Australian Perth founded, but Melbourne based now startup.
Solid boys.
Well done. Yeah.
Solid boys.
Fintech success. Very good. Well, Jesse, thank you so much for coming and sharing your story with us today. Really appreciate it. It was great fun and really cool listening to about Keepspace, and all the best for future success there. I'm sure you're going to be very successful. And anything else? If people want to find out about Keepspace, where would they go?
If you want to know more about what we do, go to keepspace.com.au, or you can reach out to me on founders@keepspace.com.au. We're happy to help you in any way you need in regards to your business model, whether it be whatever it is.
Legend.
So, sweet.
Good on you, mate. Thanks, Jesse. Well, that's it for another episode of Weird Growth. Thank you all for joining us. Thanks, boys behind the cameras. And for now, bye-bye.